Welcome to the 2022 MGA Championship Preview Show presented by DEWAR'S. I'm your host, Jack Milewski. As the MGA enters its 125th year in service to golf in the Met area, another impressive slate of championships await us. In a historic year for our association, storied clubs and courses will take center stage this summer. From the formidable BETHPAGE Black to the famed BALTUSROL, the Met area's top golfers will compete on some of the most hallowed ground in golf. To get us ready for the 2022 slate, which is an exceptional slate of golf, we now welcome in the MGA Director of Championships, Chris Gaffney. Chris, thanks for taking the time to join us today. It should be a very exciting 2022.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to the 125th anniversary and then another just a great year for us on the championship side.
And before we dive into what is an impressive slate of championships for 2022, I wanted to circle back to 2021. Everyone knows the difficulties of 2020. We had to condense the schedule, but you and your team did a phenomenal job of getting us back on track in 2021, a full slate of championships. From your perspective, how did things go?
Yeah, it was great for us to return to normalcy in 2021 from a golf perspective, and we really saw the boom in golf across the board for all championship events, whether it was the majors, the senior events, the junior events. Participation was great all around, and as we look back on the year, there's really the major area we'd like to highlight were our major championship host clubs. When you look back at the year, it was truly a bunch of special courses, some that had great history with us, some newcomers to the major championship scene, but between the Bridge, Plainfield, Hudson National Golf Club, those clubs really helped promote our program and get us to levels we had not seen in a long time from an entry perspective.
Alrighty, Chris, let's dive right into the 2022 schedule. And I know there's plenty to go over, but for the purposes of this show, what we're going to do is just look at the multi-round championships. And first on the calendar year, the Senior Am, first-time host HAWORTH, and looking at last year's Senior Am and how it ended, it's going to be very tough to live up to that excitement.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we had a great senior amateur at Round Hill, and we saw newcomer Roddy McRae take down the title. And I'd say we're all really excited to go to HAWORTH Country Club. It's the first time they're hosting a multi-day championship. They really have a great history hosting USGA qualifiers for us, most recently hosting a USGA Senior Am. So a lot of these guys are familiar with the golf course, and truly a ball striker's golf course, always in great condition, and will be a nice way to kick off the season. And the Senior Amateur for us is usually the fastest and first event to sell out each year. So people who are playing it are going to need to sign up in the first couple weeks to get into that field.
Next up, we have the MGA and WMGA Women's Met Amateur, and that's going to be at MENDHAM Golf and Tennis Club. What can you tell us about that event?
Yeah, MENDHAM is a great partner of the MGA. We've done many events there, and for us, we run this event cooperatively with the Women's Metropolitan Golf Association. Always see some of the top players in the Met area come out and play. An 18-hole championship, but the premier event of the year for us from that perspective. And MENDHAM's a challenging course, but also a fun course for the players to be at, so should be a really good championship.
Next championship is a little bit of a grind. It's 36 holes, but it's 36 holes in one day. And we're talking about the 74th MGA Public Links Championship. You head to Rock Spring Golf Club. What's that going to be like?
Yeah, and pretty cool for us this year. Rock Spring's a newcomer to the public scene, which you don't see much as they used to be private. And it's only one of two public Seth Rayner golf courses in the country. So obviously, we're not going to have many public links at a Seth Rayner golf course, so they have a lot of template holes there. Really a fun layout. The challenge is really around the greens, which is different from a lot of our past public links championship hosts. And again, we're really proud of this event as it's the longest and oldest running public links championship at this point.
Now we get into major season, something that everyone's always excited about. The first major, always on the calendar year, the Ike. You mentioned it in the Open, the Bridge was a phenomenal host last year. Where are we headed for the Ike this year, and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, and kicking off the major championship season is really special for us. This year, for the first time ever, we're going to be at BALTUSROL Golf Club on the lower course. Obviously, they're no stranger to major championship events. They've hosted national championships. They've hosted Met Opens, Met Amateurs, but this is actually their first Ike Championship, which is really exciting for us. And to add to that, they just underwent a massive restoration led by Gil Hans. The restoration came out absolutely perfect. It's going to be a true treat for the players to get out there and play. And when you look back at the last 2 years, we saw some unbelievable finishes, whether it was Mark Costanza chipping in with a walk-off eagle at Darien, or last year where Matt Fields really outlasted everybody in U.S. Open conditions at the bridge to take down the championship. And Baltusrol lower, especially the 18th hole, is no stranger to drama, so I think it'll be a pretty special one for us this year.
We all know how tough the Ike was last year. I'm sure competitors in the field are hoping it's a little bit less challenging this year, but it's always a challenging championship.
Oh, absolutely. And yes, last year was special, the conditions that the bridge were in. And I would say, though, Baltusrol is a true major championship test. The rough is really tough, and it's not going to be easy out there, but it will be a ton of fun, and it will be a special event.
From one of the biggest events on the entire calendar to one of the biggest junior events, the Met Junior presented by MetLife. And when you look at this event, it's headed to Long Island, headed to St. George's. Third time in the history, first time since 2002, though, it's been at St. George's. And in a golf-rich area like the Met area, St. George's is a little bit of a hidden gem.
Oh, absolutely. And St. George's is arguably one of the most fun golf courses in the area to play at. So it's going to be a fun experience for all of the juniors who go out there. And we've seen it in recent years, and we've seen it always historically in this event, but it's truly the breeding ground for the next stars in the Met area. We saw Colin Summers take down the championship last year, played great, great ball striker, and going to St. George's this year, tight fairways, undulated greens, and another golf course that underwent a big restoration from Gil Hance and truly brought back the bones of the golf course, and it is a special property.
Well, we already just touched on Baltusrol, but the next event up on the calendar is headed right back to Baltusrol, and that's the Carter Cup. And when we talked about the lead into the Ike, it's the lower course that was featured. You get to feature both 18s now in the Carter Cup at Baltusrol, and the upper is no slouch either.
Yeah, really a privilege for us to be at Baltusrol twice in 1 year, and the Carter Cup is a special event on our schedule. It's in honor of former junior club champion at Baltusrol, Michael Carter, and the event is an invitational. Every kid in the Met area wants to get invited to this one, and they have the privilege of playing the upper course and the lower course, 36 holes in one day. It's going to be great for us to be back there, and just can't wait to be at Baltusrol twice this year for 2 championships.
Well, we've already talked about 125 years of the MGA. The next event has been around as long as the MGA has, and that's the Met Amateur. Last year at a historic venue in Plainfield. This time, not a first-time host. We're headed to Fenway, but for the first time since 1953.
Yeah, and it's the 120th playing of the Met Amateur Championship, so looking forward to getting back to Fenway Golf Club. They're hosting an event every year with the middle mark, so players know it as a really challenging and premier golf course in the area. Fenway's another Tillinghast gem. The greens are going to be the most challenging part out there, and expect firm and fast conditions. And I think the Met Am's always a really special one, similar to the junior, where we have 36 holes of stroke play and then go to match play. So it tests every facet of a player's game, and it's always a lot of fun to see how the bracket shakes out over the weekend.
Speaking of brackets and speaking of match play, we head right down the road to St. Andrews Golf Club. Again, we're talking about history in this preview, but St. Andrews has maybe some of the most history you can find in a golf course. And the Boys Championship bracket style, 16 top players get to go head-to-head in that kind of match play style. It's going to be exciting to see it at St. Andrews.
Oh, absolutely, and you touched on it, but for us, going to a founding member club of the MGA and the USGA in our 125th anniversary is really a great opportunity for us. Despite all their history and how long the event's been run, St. Andrews has not hosted the Boys Championship before, so it'll be an exciting one to conduct there. Great match play course, really challenging, and we'll see a lot of big swings during match play. And I think another fun one is the head professional over there is a past Boys champion as well, Greg Bisconti, so a nice connection to the host course there.
And now golf is usually played for leisure. Most people have fun. The word fear doesn't necessarily make its way onto the golf course a lot, but if you say the words Bethpage Black, strikes a little bit of fear into the hearts of even the best golfers. That's where we head for the premier event. We see the trophy sitting right here next to us. The Met Open goes public, goes to Bethpage Black this year. One of the better championship venues in maybe the entire world when you talk about the pedigree, hosting a Ryder Cup soon. This is one we all have circled on our calendars before the schedule comes out. What can you tell us to expect?
One of the special things for the MGA is we conducted our first Met Open at Bethpage Black back in 1989, and really since then you've seen, or the world has seen, how great the golf course is, whether it's US Opens, PGA Championships, or the soon-to-come Ryder Cup, and you can't find a better venue to test the best players in the Met area than Bethpage Black, and we know the rough will be formidable, the course will be long, and it's going to be a grinding, grueling test over 3 days. days. We're set up for another great event. The pros in the area are some of the best in the country. We've seen some recent dominance from Andrew Sabota, who's familiar with the golf course, and really every time we've been at Bethpage Black, we've seen a great champion emerge. We've had Bobby Hines win there, we've had Johnson Wagner win there, and most recently Bob Rittberger won there. So looking forward to seeing who puts their name on a trophy and gets in that elite class of Bethpage Black champions.
We're rolling along right now, but before we continue with the championship preview, just another quick thank you to our presenting sponsor of this show, DEWAR'S, for the 2022 MGA Championship Preview Show. And now, despite what it feels like, there's really no separation between the Met Open and our next event. We head to the Patterson Club in Connecticut for the LEXUS MGA Senior Open.
It's a quick turnover that week. There's a lot of people who play in both events. We see a lot of Met Open alumni competing in the Senior Open, and with only 25 playings of the event before this year, we've already seen an impressive class of champions emerge. A lot of past Met Open champions, a lot of the best senior professionals and amateurs in the area. Patterson Club has hosted the Met Junior. They've hosted Connecticut Opens. It's going to be a challenging golf course, and it seems like each year we add a couple new great 50-year-old professionals and amateurs to the field, and pretty excited to see how the guys handle this golf course and to see those guys in action again.
We stay with the senior circuit right after. One of the newer events on the MGA calendar is the Senior Masters. In 2022, it stays in Westchester County. It's at SIWANOY. Tell us a little bit about SIWANOY, but also this newer event.
Yeah, the Senior Masters, new from our standards, been around for just over 10 years, and quickly it's emerged as a very competitive and fun event each year. Only 18 holes of stroke play, but we see a lot of the past MGA greats come out and play in it, and especially recently, 3 of the last 4 years have been won by MGA great George Zaringer, so expect to see him in contention. And SIWANOY, we really couldn't get a better venue than SIWANOY for this championship. Original host of the PGA Championship, Donald Ross Golf Course. It's got some challenging greens and is just immaculately conditioned. It'll be a lot of fun.
Last year, tremendous competition at Friars Head for the Mid-Am, and for those that don't know, the Mid-Am, the best 30 and over age group in the Met area. We head to a first-time venue, though, this year for the Mid-Am, which should be exciting.
Yeah, we're headed to the TUXEDO Club, and it's odd to hear them as a first-time venue, as a founding club, and having hosted virtually every other MGA championship. So exciting opportunity for us to bring it to TUXEDO, and as you said, it's golfers 30 and older for our Mid-Am, and it's an invitational, so people earn invites throughout the year through various playing criteria. So it's always a hot ticket to get because you got to play in other events to get invited to this one. So a nice opportunity again for us in the 125th anniversary to bring it to one of the MGA founding clubs.
And next up, we have an event that was originally scheduled for 2020. It's now moved to 2022 because of the pandemic. Quaker Ridge French American Challenge. For people that aren't as familiar with this event, can you just give a little more background on the event itself?
Yeah, disappointing to have to cancel it in 2020, but great to have it back. And the French American's one of 2 team events that we run. It's a biennial event against the Ligue de Paris. So we have both men and women on the team, and it's another one of those where players are trying all year to get invited to the team. And they're hoping that they can play at Quaker Ridge at the end of the year. And for us to be at another world-class AW Tillinghast design, recently underwent some restoration work on the greens. We're really excited to see how all that went. But just a challenging, fun golf course and a perfect venue to end the season with a team match.
Now, the next event isn't actually held on a golf course. Bear with me here. First time event last year, LEXUS Long Drive Championship. I was practicing my speed training over the winter, might enter it myself. We were excited to see it in its inception last year. Tremendous event, great turnout, thrilling finish. This year, year 2, expecting big things for the LEXUS Long Drive once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the first time for our championship department, we ran an event that wasn't a tee to green competition, and pretty exciting to go out there to the Bethpage Polo field, set up a full grid, get the biggest hitters in the area to come out and really test to see how far they can hit it and if they're the longest hitter in the Met area. Really a fun experience. I think the most interesting thing was we saw a lot of people who aren't tournament players who could come out and hit the ball 350 plus, and we had a thrilling playoff, had to go to a sudden death finish on the men's side, had a great playoff on the women's side as well, so pretty excited to see how it goes in year 2.
And that was a first-time event last year, year 2, as we mentioned. Another first-time event added to the MGA calendar this year towards the end of the season. the FARRELL, which will be held at STANWICH, and so many of these events that we've talked about, best competition in the Met area. This extends further than the Met area.
Yeah. For the first time, we're going to be running a national invitational event called the FARRELL, and we're partnering with the Stanwich Club. The event will be at Stanwich each year, held in late fall, end of September this year. We'll have both men and women in the field with divisions for mid-ams and then a senior division as well. And for this event, it's going to be 18 holes of stroke play, and then we'll go into match play over the weekend. And you mentioned it, the interesting dynamic here is we're going to have plenty of Met area players in the field, but there'll also be a national, international component to it. So we hope to attract and see the best players in the country and in the world come out and play in it.
Well, for those tuning in, thanks for bearing with us this long. Excited to unveil the 2022 schedule this way. We have 2 more championships we wanted to talk about that aren't necessarily directly MGA championships, but still very big in this area, attracting a lot of the top talent. First one is a historic championship here, the 100th running of the Westchester Open. Yeah,
we've had the privilege to run some of these historic championships over the last few years, and this year has been marked on the calendar for a long time, and we've had a great site lined up for a long time with Sleepy Hollow Country Club, but it'll be the centennial celebration, the 100th Westchester Open, and we really couldn't ask for a better venue to be at. A club that has a ton of history with the Westchester Golf Association, known as one of the top courses in the country and in Westchester. And I think another exciting element for us is that they have a national championship, the U.S. Mid-Am, around the corner in 2023, and we're going to be getting to run our 100th Westchester Open Championship to kick off the Westchester Major Championship season this year.
And not to leave out another golf-rich area in the Met area, but Long Island has the Long Island Open as well, and as always, that puts together one of the best competitions we see on Long Island every year.
Yeah, and Long Island's creeping up on their centennial, not there yet, but the Long Island Open returns to Westhampton Country Club. Second time this year, we'll be at a Seth Rayner design. This one dates back into the 1890s, has a lot of template holes. If the wind's blowing, the course can get really challenging. The balls will be moving out there. You need your ground game in effect when you're playing out at Westhampton. But we mentioned him before. Andrew Sabota's won 3 of the last 4 Long Island Opens, so definitely expect to see him in the mix when we're out there.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today to break down the 2022 schedule. Craziest part is we've just scratched the surface with all the great events that the MGA puts on year in and year out. Those tuning in, thank you for joining us. I know you're excited to see the full slate. We don't have time to break it down obviously all today, but for those that are interested, please visit mgagolf.org. We'll have the full schedule up shortly, and we'll have previews of a lot of these great events. Once again, Chris, thank you. Thank you to all of those who tuned in tonight, and a big thank you to the presenting sponsor of the 2022 MGA Championship Preview Show, DEWAR'S. On behalf of the entire MGA, I'm Jack Milewski signing off. We can't wait to see you all on the course this spring.